Subject of scrutiny here. I was watching an older movie earlier, and I seen something in this Michael Jackson's "This Is It" trailer, going a little bit, back in time. But just thought it was interesting. I'm gonna play this little bit. Falls under fair use. You can't hear what they're saying, but it's all pretty. They're saying, "Oh, we're all here because of Michael Jackson," trying to make him like some sort of deity. He's saying, "This is the moment. This is it." And then it says, "This is it." Now watch this. What is that? You see all this drones, military style, and this arch with the sun worship behind it. And look at that arch. I can't zoom in on it. I'm going to keep playing it, but just look at that. And I'm going to see how this ties in. This is a few years ago. And then it goes back to dancing, but why would they have that in here? Watch it again in full play. Right here. Just for a second. It's only a second. But that's all it takes subliminally. And then I want to show out what they kind of look like and see how this all kind of ties in. And these are the arches of Baal. If I can get it to load. Now, doesn't that picture you saw look just like that with the big chunk missing out of the top? It was an arch and it had that big piece missing out of the top right there. And the arches of Baal, and they're doing them in London and New York. You can see right here, it used to be a sacrificial altar where they would sacrifice children. You can see them doing it here. That's Baal right there, that ox thing. But these things are all over the world. Here it is again. Erected near CERN in Switzerland. And there's this one. Today in London. So I guess that one's in London. And I mean, they're all over the world. We're going to see how this ties in here. There's some more famous arches. These arches have a purpose. A lot of these are lined up with the sun. They're lined up with specific things. There's a whole 9/11 connection with the arch that's downtown in Manhattan and how they moved it and renovated the park afterwards. And the Rockefellers actually have a piece of the aqueduct from the original Solomon's Temple, which is what this is supposed to be from. And they have pieces of the aqueduct that they use to wash the blood away. And it's like, why would this billionaire want that? Why would he pay that for these giant stones? Unless it meant something to them. It was... we got this right here. Calls on Israel's greatest enemy to follow tradition and build third temple. So they want dispute between Israel and Israel's greatest enemy to help build the third temple. So yeah, they're basically going to have the Iranians build this temple for them, but it kind of ties into like biblical prophecy and that kind of stuff. When the third temple is built, and it's funny, is like I went here and Solomon's Temple. It says, after Israel conquered in about 720 BC and its 10 tribes driven into exile. Why would the tribes of Israel be driven into exile? Unless they did something they weren't supposed to. Became the lone cultic center. Solomon's Temple sustained several attacks by foreign powers before finally in 586 BCE being totally destroyed by the army of Nebu... I don't even want to try to say the Babylonian king, some guy with an 18-letter name. But in the Bible, that's not how Solomon's Temple was. Ancient Judaism, my ass. See, that's the thing, is they won't admit to the ongoing child sacrifice they do. Why do you think so many kids come up missing globally every day? Where do you think they're all going? All these kids are disappearing without a trace and nobody seems to know. If you really look into the history of King Solomon, he used demons to build his I forget how it was, but he used demons somehow. He made demons manifest, and then he controlled them using the power of God, and then it got away with him. And, absolute power clear-ups, absolutely, basically, and that's basically the story with that. But I just thought it was interesting that all these arches are everywhere, and then I've seen it in that for no reason. Like, why would they have that flash of that in that Michael Jackson video? It doesn't make any sense unless they're pushing an agenda. Subject to scrutiny.